Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? That was fun. This feels right. Talking 76ers basketball as soon as a game is over. It's been so damn long. It's been 4 months. I need this in my life. It was a beautiful sight to see. The Sixers running up and down the floor. Now, I will be honest. I see the reaction on Twitter. I see everyone being all hype. And I think that it's fair to be excited based off of the intensity you saw, the new lineup, Ben Simmons stroking that three-pointer not once, but twice, and one of those actually going in. So I feel like it's okay to be excited about what you saw. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair to relate a game that has a vibe of LA Fitness to what's going to happen when you see the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, and other great teams, the Miami Heat. I enjoy this. This is awesome. The one thing I always say when it comes to when a team plays well in a preseason game or some sort of exhibition game, I say you'd rather see them play well than play bad, right? You'd rather see them play well than have an awful game where you throw your hands up and go, oh, well, who really cares? This is just a game that doesn't matter. You'd rather see the team execute, look awesome, have flow, and feel that good vibe. So no doubt that's the way I wanted this to play out. But at the same time, I can't relate this game where it's run three-point line to three-point line and just jack up some shots where you can tell that the Memphis Grizzlies weren't really all into it. And it was a glorified LA Fitness game. But that doesn't mean I can't be a little excited, one, to just watch the damn sport of basketball because it's so long ago that I was able to actually break it down. Here I am with my notebook, smiling from ear to ear with my Miller Lite, just watching the damn game because it felt normal again. It was nice to hear Mark Zumoff. It was nice to hear Serena Winters and the crew talking the game. So from that aspect, it was awesome. But I do say let's relax a bit, right? I also saw, what else was there? The reaction on Twitter that had me cracking the hell up. Oh, the second half where the other team came back. Did we forget to mention that Joel Embiid wasn't playing in the second half? All this outrage. Oh, classic 76ers. Classic 76ers. This is an LA Fitness game where Joel Embiid's not even playing. And by the end of it, it was Raul Neto, Norvel Pelle, even though Norvel Pelle was out there jacking threes and getting block shots on some dunks. I guess it's not even a block shot, technically. It's a block dunk, but he had that, and you can't be freaking out about when these guys are on the floor, so let's relax a little, that's all. Let's relax a little when it comes to the outrage and the overexcitement with things. I think that's fair to say. Now, we'll talk more about it, of course. Before we do, remember, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to your solar experts. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. In addition, they will make sure that you receive all the state and federal incentives available for switching to solar. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So visit them online. Their information is in the description. I think it's fair to start with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons playing off the ball. Ben Simmons taking three-pointers. And the first one, he's in the corner. It's in rhythm. It's in motion of everything. And bang, he just takes the shot. Now, it was a little short. It hit the front rim. And then there was a little bit of time where you didn't see him take another one. And I thought, all right, look, Ben, you missed it. It's fine. You're out there. Let's take another shot. He eventually did in the second half, and bang, splash. It seems like he's very comfortable in the corner. I have recognized that in the past when I was covering games for 97.3 ESPN. I saw him knock down threes at will from the corner spots. So it does look like that is his comfort zone, and I think you are going to see it more. I stated you will know where Ben is at mentally once you see him play the first game. Once you see him touch the floor the first time, that will tell you what his mentality is going to be. If there are moments where he passes up these wide open shots, I wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward. He did. I mean, he did it. It looked good. It was in rhythm, and that's what I care about. And he looked confident and comfortable doing it. So the fact that he did this game one, it is very intriguing. You got two three-pointers in this basketball game. And if you ask me prior to this happening, Broads, do you think you'll get two? I would take the under in a heartbeat. I would literally say, hell no, and he proved me wrong. And that's fine. I'm okay with being proven wrong, no doubt about it. I'm very happy that he was able to do it, and I think you're going to see it way more. The question is, though, is it different for him when it comes to playoff atmosphere in this bubble, right? So these exhibition games, they're going to have the same vibe as the 8 regular season games, so I would say that you'll probably get that during those type of games. You'll get the three-point shot more during the exhibition and the regular season games, but when things slow down, when it is more important, when the games and the stress come into play, like the big stressful moments of playoff basketball in this bubbled atmosphere, will he feel the same type of confidence? Will he be as comfortable in the corner? I would hope so. I'm leaning more towards yes than no at this point because this is the most I've ever seen it before. You heard Brett Brown state before this game that he has changed. He has changed mentally when it comes to shooting the basketball, and there's no doubt that you see it. I tweeted this out, and you can follow me at Broads81 on Twitter, that there were actually people out there who claimed that we should trade Ben Simmons because, well, look, he doesn't want to get better. He doesn't add to his game. He feels he's good enough. There's no growth involved. Oh, yeah? There's no growth involved? How can you watch that basketball game and say there's no growth involved in his shooting? And someone tweeted at me and said, and they hit a response back. Let's just see how it plays out first, because there's still a chance he does it. And you know what? Fair. And I just mentioned it as well. There is still a chance that he doesn't do it. But here's my counter argument. No matter what happens this rest of the season, right? No matter what happens and how this regular season and playoff run ends, you can't justify saying that he hasn't worked on his game. You can't justify saying that he has not worked on that jump shot, that he has not put a lot of hours into shooting that three-point shot, because it's so damn obvious that he has. And you can say, well, who cares if he doesn't do it in a game? This is obviously not normal, right? This is not standard. The path Ben Simmons is taking to shooting a basketball in the NBA is not relevant, or relevant's not the right word, but it's not comparable to Steph Curry, James Harden, or anybody else in this league. So this right here is a huge step from the past, no doubt, and it's going to be a slower step possibly than what we all thought it was going to be when we first drafted him, but here's reality. There is growth involved, so for everyone claiming that we should trade Ben Simmons because he doesn't care, he doesn't have the heart, he doesn't have the will, he thinks he's too good, well, that's laughable. It's pure comedy, and it's a disgrace, honestly, that people would even feel that way to begin with, but I'm not surprised at times either, because I have seen some of the reactions before with a lot of athletes in this city for years and years and years. But ultimately, when it comes to the Ben Simmons game tonight, it left me intrigued. It really did. It left me intrigued. It looks like I'm going to be losing my bet when it comes to Mike Gill. We have a bet for a 6-pack of IPAs, over under 4.5 Ben Simmons 3-point attempts once the 8-game regular season begins. Maybe he's getting them all out of them now, and then I'll actually win the bet. Who knows? But this game made me realize, hey, look, there's a chance that I lose this. And if you told me that, hey, it's going to cost you a 6-pack for Ben Simmons to start knocking down shots, I'll pay that any day of the week. I'll pay that 500 times for all I care, because that's the difference in Ben Simmons being a legitimate superstar in this league or not. So, hey, I'm all for it. But we'll see. Only time will tell. You know, it's hard to break down this game. Oh, look what happened in the first quarter, the second quarter. No. I mean, there was a 28-4 run at one point. The Sixers totally did their thing. And there were some really nice plays. Who had that nasty dunk? Matisse Thybulle with a nasty dunk going hard to the rack. Who else was there? Glenn Robinson III had a nice one. There was that Ben Simmons no-look pass to Tobias Harris for the alley-oop. That was pretty exciting as well. And Toby had a very quiet 15-10 type of performance, although there were a couple times where he tried to do a little bit too much and he airballed the shots. Those stood out to me. But ultimately, this is what Tobias Harris gives you. You know, he's a guy who's giving you Obviously, he didn't play the amount of minutes to give you those 20-point performances, but he gives you those quiet points, the points that you need. He gives you the ability to score points, and he just goes under the radar. Toby giving you the 15 and 10, which was interesting. Ben with the steals and the assists. It was just remarkable what you saw out of Ben. There were times where I saw him moving a lot off the ball, right? You can see him cutting. You can see him screening as well. A bunch of times he was setting the screen. So you saw flashes and glimpses of what you're going to see him like off the ball. There were a couple of times where I thought maybe he was forcing it when he was coming off of certain plays, and I know one of them worked out for him where he kissed it high off the glass, but I saw a couple takes to the basket, or I guess they weren't really takes to the basket, but I saw a couple times where he was forcing things in certain areas, and maybe he just needs more time. Maybe he needs to just get some more games under his belt to realize when that will work, when it won't work. But I saw sometimes he was clustered trying to do certain things, but he tried to force it anyway. But you're looking at a whole new position, and this is the first time you're getting real run at it, the first time you're getting real play against another opponent besides your own team. So from that standpoint, like I said with the whole exhibition thing to begin with, I don't think much in terms of, besides the three-pointing shots by Ben Simmons, I don't think I'd look at this game and go, oh, well, because this is happening, that automatically means it's going to happen in the future. And to be fair, I'm not even sold 100% on the Ben Simmons thing. It just makes me feel a little bit more optimistic than I have ever felt in the past. I mean, I got sucked in heavily with last year's 5-on-5 summer games with him and some NBA players playing, but now that you're seeing it to this degree, I think there will be a little bit of some carryover, but other than that, I don't really correlate this performance with what this means down the road for this team. But it's good that they played well. I do think that they treated it with a good mindset, right? Because it's easy to go in there and say, who cares? I don't think they went with the who cares mentality. They did put pressure on the Memphis Grizzlies. You saw the active hands. You saw the defense playing harder than what Memphis was bringing. Like, you saw that they went out there and actually gave you a good amount of effort. And you don't see that from all these teams out there. So that is good to see. It is a positive that they are checked in mentally. They are properly out there playing with the proper mindset, which is good for game one of an exhibition. Now, here's something that stood out to me. You actually saw Joel Embiid and Al Horford on the floor at the same time. Now, it wasn't a long amount of time, but you heard Brett Brown say that Al Horford and Joel Embiid did not spend much time together during the Orlando bubble practices. And if you get Joel Embiid to 38 minutes like Brett Brown wanted to do, and I think that's a little high, let's be more realistic with maybe 35, but that leaves Al Horford for about 10 to 13 minutes a game, and I don't think that that's justifiable for how much you paid him and for what he is able to do. So with that being said, do you find any time at all with those two on the floor together? And I think you have to. I think you got to find, even if it's 5 minutes of play. 5 minutes of play together on the court, which could add to his, say, 13 minutes without Joel Embiid, and bang, now you're up to 18 minutes, right? You got to find more than 10 to 13. You saw a little bit of run here together, and I think this is the time to try it, right? This is the time to see if they can give you something together when they're out there, because I'm sorry, there's no way that the only minutes Al Horford gets is when Joel Embiid's off the floor. Even though those are important, crucial minutes, it's still valuable to have them on the floor at the same time. For if it's a limited amount of time, I still think you have to do it to an extent. So keep an eye out on what you're going to see there. What I was looking for, I saw some rotation pieces come in. Furkan Korkmaz, he looked good. Furky looked good. Now, keep in mind, this is the style of play that I think benefits Furkan Korkmaz. Up and down pace, LA fitness, no one playing that hard a day, do your thing. I've always been concerned with postseason, slowed down basketball where the possessions matter, you get your switch, and then they target Furkan Korkmaz over and over and over again. So the way that this game was played out is going to be extremely different from the postseason, but he was knocking down his shots. He had some pump fakes, and then he got inside, and boom, he knocked down a shot. He hit the three. So, look, Furkan did have a nice little outing, but I think this style of play, which does not relate to playoff basketball at all, benefits his style without a doubt. Matisse We saw what he can do when it comes to defense all season long, and you saw his pestiness, but there was one thing that stood out to me, and I think it's going to hurt this team at times, is his inability to knock down the shots consistently. There are times where it's like, damn, okay, Matisse, knock down that shot, but in this game, it wasn't that way, and that's the big part that concerns me, his inability to shoot the three at some times. I think he finished 1 of 4 from 3. If it wasn't that, it was very close, and that is something that I have to keep my eyes out on, because the problem with this basketball team, and it's only going to get more brutal as the time continues to get deeper into the season, is spacing. And if you have another guy who, I know statistically his numbers weren't that bad this year, but he's so streaky, and I don't think his numbers really show what type of player he is. I think his three-point numbers at this point is a little flawed to what he actually is. Sort of like Shake Milton, right? When you looked at Shake Milton, he shot like 45% from 3 when he was playing this season. It's like, okay, really? He's not a 45% from 3 kind of guy. You would think his average would go down to what it normally is at one point. That's how I feel about where Matisse Thybulle is at right now with his numbers throughout the regular season. And he's going to have to knock down his shots. I think that's something that is going to change him into being someone that you can literally rely on it. So, look, you're hurting the team offensively if you can't help space the floor. Adding that to his type of defensive intensity would be lethal. And I love Matisse, and I think he's absolutely going to grow into that one day. I just don't know if that's now. And if it's not now, what does that mean for the playoff rotation? Because you have other guys out there like Glenn Robinson III, who I thought had a really nice performance. Alec Burks, who is a guy who can give you some buckets and can handle the basketball. So I think that there's some options out there, no doubt. It's crazy to think about the depth on this bench, and you're questioning, how are you going to fit all these guys in? Al Horford, Glenn Robinson III, Alec Burks, Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, Mike Scott. Now we're concerned with how many bodies there are, and how are we going to be able to find a way to get them all in, or who's not going to even make the cut? That's the type of conversation now. When last year it was Greg Monroe going into the game for Joel Embiid. When it was James Ennis who was coming in when it mattered late in the basketball game. I mean, that's a huge problem. That's a huge difference. So it'll be interesting to see how Brett Brown plays this out. I liked what I saw. I did. I liked what I saw. I just think you need to take it for a grain of salt, right? It's okay to be excited about it. I'm not saying you can't be excited about it. You should be. They looked good, right? I just think you say, hey, they look good. Guys did their thing. You should be really proud of Ben Simmons for being able to just comfortably start knocking down some shots in game 1, right? Instead of waiting until game 2, game 3, game 4. No, he did it right off the bat and showed everyone, I'm here to shoot some threes. And now it's to the point where, are you going to freak out every time, or is it just going to be normal? If he comes out the next time and hits 3, or takes 3, hits 3, little strong, takes 3, it's eventually going to get to the point where you don't need to tweet about it all the time. You don't have to freak out about it all the time because you know it's going to happen. So hopefully this run here gives him that, and then that correlates and snowballs into actual postseason play. But I do wonder if it will snowball into postseason play because the pressure is a little bit different, because the defense you're playing up against is a little bit stronger. Although in the beginning, maybe it's not. Maybe they dare him all day long, and it's on him to make sure if he doesn't make it, okay, you're confident enough to take it again. But if you're missing 3, 4, 5, at some point it's like, hey, this is hurting my team. Let's not keep taking these. But I digress. That's a conversation for another day once you get into postseason. For now, let's enjoy the moment without a doubt. Yeah, at halftime, Ben had 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals in 16 minutes. It was pretty ridiculous. But I did love the reaction to what was happening during the second half. Classic Sixers. Really? We're going classic Sixers when you got Norvell, Pell, Howell, Neto, and guys like that out there? Now, Shake Milton. I thought Shake Milton is doing what we kind of questioned if he could do it, if that makes sense. I sat there and I questioned, is it fair to say, Shake Milton, you have to be like you were against the LA Clippers? Shake Milton, you got to play like you did at the end of the year without Ben Simmons. Was it fair to ask him to do that? Here's this player who has very limited NBA experience, and we need to expect him to play at that type of high level. Is it fair to really do that? And I think that he showed you at least what he is capable of doing. At one point, he was dribbling the ball with his back to the basket, and he turned around, and he made a beautiful jump shot, and he just gives you that extra ball-handling guard, and he can space the floor out. And I'm not going to lie to you, there were times where I realized that he's bringing the ball up more than I thought. Now, the offense is still ran through Ben Simmons at times, no doubt about it, but he did carry the ball up a decent amount of times. He definitely was dribbling the ball at the top of the three-point line a decent amount of times, and it's not like I didn't expect him to do that, but I didn't know how it was going to play out. I questioned, will it be ran through Ben Simmons more? Will Ben still have the ball a lot of the time? And I was just curious, how is this going to play out? But the amount that Shake Milton did have the ball in his hands, I was like, okay, I mean, this is good. I think this is a good level. And losing Joel Embiid, and when I say losing, I mean just not putting him out on the floor, taking him out of the game after that first half, it changes a lot when it comes to what this team is actually going to look like. So it's hard to really get a 2 cents of what that really meant in the second half when you lose such a key player. A lot of those possessions, when those players were trying to make plays, guess where the ball's going? It's going right down low. It's going to Joel Embiid with his back against the opponent, and he's going to work. So a lot of those possessions wouldn't have happened. There were moments where the offense went stale a bit, and that's when Memphis had sort of a run. But all around, I was intrigued. I was entertained. I was having a good time hearing the broadcast, seeing the Sixers play, looking at the uniform. It's been a long damn time, and I was in the stadium the night the NBA was done, when they put the delay on, when they played who did they play that game? The Detroit Pistons, and I left that arena thinking, what the hell just happened? What in the world? And here we are, late July, watching them play in Orlando in a bubble. But I think the broadcast is good. I think the broadcast, in terms of what the NBA is doing with the court looks good. The bench looks good. Seeing the teammates behind those, whatever you want to call them, so you can see people in the background of the court. I think the visual side of things is phenomenal. You know, they play music like they do in normal NBA games, which is totally fine with me. I thought originally you would hear more trash talk, you would hear more people going back and forth, but the way the broadcast is over top of the gameplay, you hear some squeaky shoes, and you do hear the bench when the Norvell Pell gets the block and hits the three-pointer, which was just absolutely ridiculous, right? He grabs the ball by the three-point line, and it's a desperation three, and it goes in. It was absolutely wild, but those are the moments where you see the bench, you hear the bench, and it's very, very vocal. That's the type of stuff that you're going to hear, but it creates like normal sound, normal human beings. It's not the fake baseball sound that you have been getting through, not even the broadcast. It's really through what's happening at the stadium, and the broadcast just picks it up, and it's not like what's happening in soccer, where the soccer is actually pumping it through the broadcast itself. But hearing natural reactions, it's going to be epic once it comes down to real big moments and playoff moments. Right? Imagine a buzzer beater, Game 3, second round, and the bench goes crazy, and you hear that. I'm sure they'd have to bleep out the entire audio because it's going to be curses the whole time. So all around, can't wait for the next one. Reality is, I can't wait for the next one. It seems like normalcy is coming back with the sports, and that's what I need right now. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, they are home to your solar experts. They offer flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. Their solar program helps eliminate your electric bill completely. Thank you guys so much. Comment down below if you're listening to this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or any other podcasting platform, you can use the review system as a way to comment. I appreciate all the support to this point. Sixers basketball is back. It's a lovely thing. Ben Simmons is shooting threes. It's a lovely thing. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.